this morning as I look out. That's kind of how summer is, right? We kind of have a short summer here, and when you have opportunities to go and do things and go camping at the lake or wherever people are, it's nice to do that. We don't have a long time to be able to do that. As Dad mentioned on Wednesday, the nights are already, or the days are getting shorter already. The sun's going down earlier, and so I'm glad people are enjoying their summer. It will go by quick. We got Napoleon visiting with us. He's just been in Canada for a couple of months, so he doesn't know how short the summers are, but he'll find out pretty soon. And so we are blessed to be able to have the summers that we have. And so we are continuing our series, kind of our summer series here on growing in the light. And so this morning, we're looking at the harvest part of growing in the light. The harvest season will be in full swing pretty soon here. Everything's kind of browning up a little bit there as everything out there, and it should be starting in the next few weeks here. And so it's an important and busy time of the year for many people here in Manitoba, in the Carman area. And so if you're a gardener, you probably have by now been harvesting some of those vegetables that you've been growing. You've been enjoying maybe the tomatoes that have grown, the carrots or other things that have come along, if you're ones that do that. And you've been enjoying the harvest coming after the growing season. And so the harvest time is exciting. You get to see all the work throughout the growing season come up with a tangible product that's useful, that's needed. And you get to see all of your hard work come into something that you can see and touch and taste. So harvest time is one of those great times of the year. And as a kid, at harvest time, I can remember different things that I was able to do growing up on the farm. And riding in the truck with Grandpa as he would go from the field to the bin and back, and I would ride with him for a while in the grain truck, or in the combine with Dad. I tried to squeeze in there as a little kid, only just one seat in there, so squeeze in and stand up and maybe drive for a few minutes, but enjoy being out there, seeing the process of how it all worked. Seeing how the combine would scoop everything up and how it would go through, and then the dust would fly out the back, and in the big hopper on the top you'd have everything you're going for. We have a really old combine sitting on the farm. I don't know how far it goes back, but we used to play on it as kids. Now I think everything's kind of overgrown it. But it was a really old combine when I was a kid, and we used to just play on it and just kind of imagine ourselves, or use our imagination that we're out on this combine out in the field. And it's just a fun time to kind of see how everything works, and to see everything come to fruition throughout the year. So there are some of you here this morning with memories of harvest time, maybe similar to some of those. Whether it has to do with meals bringing out to the field, or quick repairs on the go, and many different things. Harvest time is one that kind of sticks with you, as you have that sense of accomplishment. Maybe you've had great years out in the field when that hopper filled up quicker than you thought, and you have other years when it never seemed, you just kept driving and it never seemed to fill up. So there's always memories that we can have around the harvest time. So I want to share just a short little story here that I came across this week about harvest time. There was once an old farmer named Eli. Year after year, he faithfully sowed seeds into his field. Wheat, barley, and oats. His land produced a decent harvest every fall, enough to care for his family and bless a few neighbors. But there was one field, a small patch at the edge of his land that he had left untouched for years. The soil was rocky, and it seemed unfit for growing anything really worthwhile. It's not worth the effort, he would say, as he passed by it each spring. One year, Eli's grandson Jacob came to spend the summer on the farm. Eager to help, Jacob asked Grandpa, why don't we plant something in that corner field? Eli chuckled, that land's no good, son. Nothing will grow there. But Jacob was persistent. Can I try anyway? Reluctantly, Eli agreed, so with some sweat and sore hands, Jacob cleared the rocks, tilled the soil, and planted sunflowers. Just a few rows. The summer passed and the harvest came. The main fields did well, but something unexpected happened. That little patch of sunflowers flourished. They stood tall and vibrant, a bright golden seed swaying in the autumn wind. Not only did they produce seed, but their beauty drew neighbors from nearby towns. Some took pictures, others brought their children just to walk among them. One elderly neighbor said, those flowers reminded me that hope can grow in forgotten places. Eli stood beside Jacob at the edge of the field. I was wrong, he said quietly. Sometimes the harvest comes from the place you least expect, if you're willing to do the work. Harvest time is when we can see maturity come to full effectiveness. All that hard work put in, even in places where we didn't think much fruit would come from, we can see the blessings of what has been done. This morning we'll look at when Jesus chose his apostles. He saw them more than what they just were at that time. And he saw that they had a purpose and a mission. We'll see how the skills that we have and the skills that we are acquiring will equip us to use the fruit that we have produced. Fruit on the plant can show that the plant is healthy, but it becomes really useful when that fruit is used. So, as we begin to look at how to bear fruit, we can look at the goals that we have as we mature. So as a gardener, if you're a gardener, you have certain goals that come when it comes to your crop. The gardener wants a healthy, robust harvest. So there's been a lot of work done during the season to make sure the plant has the best chance of having that good harvest. As Christians, we grow into Christ. We grow in Christ to produce something that will be robust and lasting. Not just a flash in the pan experience, not just quick, it's there and it's gone, but one that will have lasting value. Lasting value over many generations. What we learn and experience as followers of Jesus is not meant just for us. It's meant to be shared. Our lives are meant to produce fruit that then endures for eternity. The things we do in this life has an effect on other lives going forward. Last Wednesday Bible study, we were talking about our legacy, our spiritual legacy that we want to pass on. The idea that these examples we set now and the things we leave for future generations has a big impact. We plan for something big. So I want us to look and see this morning if we are producing good fruit, and then if we are we using it? Are we thinking long term? Are we thinking of the goals that we have? So I want to look at John chapter 15 as Michael read to us this morning. And we'll start here in verse 12 about the foundation of the fruit is about love and sacrifice. So Jesus says in John 15, 12 and 13, this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. So we see here the command to love. Jesus starts with this direct command. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. This is a command, not a suggestion. To obey this command, though, to love as Jesus loved, we need to know then how Jesus loved. To know this, we need to be in the Word. We can then see the way Jesus was, the way he interacted with people, the way he treated the lowest, and we can aim for that example, the love that he set. We can see in this then the nature of love. This isn't a casual or just a sentimental love, but it is a sacrificial love. Jesus defines it there in verse 13. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. We see then this connecting of love and fruit. So how does this relate to bearing fruit? Our ability to love others in a sacrificial way is a primary expression of the love of Christ in us. The kind of love is the source of the lasting fruit. When we love like Jesus, our actions then have an impact on our life now, but it also has an impact beyond just our life. You have no doubt heard me say in lessons before, it's not about me. Right? We need this attitude of sacrificial love for others. It doesn't matter what we need or what we want at the time. We have to look and to see what do we need to sacrifice to show the love of Christ to others. We can probably think of different people who did things in their life that was a large sacrifice. And a large sacrifice to spread the gospel. We know missionaries that have gone off to difficult places in the world to share the gospel, where there wasn't the comforts of home, where there was people trying to stop them. But they sacrificed a comfortable life for one to share the gospel. They were willing to be uncomfortable and struggle because they understood their purpose and the work they were doing for the Lord. Others have had to sacrifice friendships and even family to follow Jesus. To love like Jesus is hard. It's really hard. But Jesus commands us to do it. And I don't think he would have commanded us to do something that was impossible to do. He wants us to strive to do that, to love the way he loved. We then see the identity of the fruit bearer, these friends of Jesus. In verse 14 and 15, he says, "You are my friends if you do what I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for the servant does not know what the master is doing. But I have called you friends. For all that I have heard from my Father, I have made known to you." So we see from a servant to a friend. Jesus makes this profound shift. Here he says, no longer do I call you servants, but I call you friends. Jesus and the apostles had grown together, becoming close during his ministry. Not just working for God beside each other, but becoming friends. Not just serving Jesus, but being his friend. So we see then the significance of friendship. What's the difference between a servant and a friend? A servant obeys orders without knowing the master's plans. Just does what he is told to do. But a friend is brought into the confidence of the master. We're not just blindly following a set of rules because we're told to follow them. We are partners with Jesus in this mission. We bear fruit not out of obligation, but out of a deep relationship and shared purpose. Our fruit is working with Christ. Friends together to be brought into the purpose and the mission. Our actions matter because we're not just doing religious things that we're supposed to do, but we are participating in the very work of God. The very work that he has entrusted to his friends. He goes on to talk about that we are chosen for lasting fruit in verses 16 and 17. He says, "You did not choose me, but I chose you, and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should abide, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, I will give it to you. These things I command you, so that you will love one another." We see this divine appointment, the core message here that Jesus wants to relay. He says, "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you." Jesus chose the ones to work with him. He had a mission for them far beyond what any of them saw when they began following Jesus. But he chose them, appointed them, gave them a mission. So we can understand this word appointed. The word appointed, or in some translations may even say ordained, carries a sense of purpose, a sense of authority. God didn't just save us. He had a specific job for us to do. We have been placed in this time. We have been placed in this time and in this place for a reason. And so the purpose of the appointment, he says that you should go and bear fruit, and your fruit should abide. This again is not a suggestion. It's our very purpose. We are designed to produce a harvest that lasts. We need to understand that our purpose does not just stop at attending worship or Bible study, even though those things are important. We need to understand that we need to go and do as well. So what is this lasting fruit? It's not just about tangible results of the number of people converted, brought to the gospel, but it's about the character of Christ being formed in us and through us. It's about our lives changed. It's about relationships that are healed, the justice pursued, hope offered, that the love of God can be made visible in this world. This is the kind of fruit that abides. And so the result, he says that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give it to you. This promise that as we align our lives with his purpose to bear lasting fruit, he will empower us and answer our prayers in support of that mission. God will bless us with the things we need to fulfill his purpose. Not always the things we want or the things we think we need, but the things we truly need. We don't need to worry that we'll not have the tools needed to fulfill his purpose when we are aligned with it. The things of this world will fade away, but the impact of our fruits can be lasting. It can bring people to a place where they see the importance of Jesus. That they can see love and hope and justice where they may not have that in their life. So it is important for us to keep in mind the long term, not just the short term. The fruit we produce can further the kingdom for many years past us. So we then have a call to action. The first, we can reflect. What kind of fruit is your life producing? Is it a temporary harvest or a lasting one? We then pray, and we ask God to reveal to us the specific ways he's appointed you to bear that lasting fruit. Pray so that we can recognize the talents that God has given us. Each of us has different skills. Each of us are good at different things. And these are things that all of us can do to show the love of Christ. But then we need to go and act. We can choose one area of your life, even just this week, to intentionally live out this sacrificial love, trusting that it'll have an eternal impact, looking at what other people need, looking at how can I love someone like Jesus loved someone this week. We don't know how things are going to turn out, but we need to go and do anyway. Many of the apostles, as they went and spread the gospel, didn't know what was all going to happen. And many people rejected it. But they went out, they went and did. So as we live out the sacrificial love that may be towards your spouse, maybe to your kids or your grandkids, maybe in the community or with someone else, whoever or whatever it is, we can make an impact by using the fruit that we have while we are here. To look at the skills that God has given us and use those. For the baseball fans here today, and the ones that have watched baseball in the 90s, you'll probably remember this guy. This is Jim Abbott. Jim Abbott pitched in the major leagues for about 10 years throughout the 90s. There was a documentary just done on him a few weeks ago that I watched the other day. Jim Abbott was born with no right hand, but he was able to figure out how to play baseball with one hand. And not only was he good, not only was he a good pitcher, but he was great. He was really good. He was a first-round draft pick, and he even had a no-hitter for the Yankees in 1993. We all have different abilities that God has given us. We have different struggles as well. Jim Abbott bore fruit that remains not only on a baseball field, but in the hearts and minds of everyone who heard his story and saw what was possible. No matter how big our struggles are, we can use the fruit that we have to make an impact. Jim Abbott was able to inspire and encourage a lot of people by working on his talent, despite having something that he could have used as an excuse not to try. He motivated many other athletes that didn't think they could go pro by seeing this example. Now, many of us may not have this kind of visual challenge that he had, but people can be encouraged and brought close to Jesus when we use the talents that we're given. The things maybe that we have struggled with in life, to use those, to encourage those with similar struggles, to be brought close to Jesus. When we recognize the fruits that we have, we need to put them to work. There was times in Jim Abbott's life when he didn't want to be remembered as the one-handed pitcher. He just wanted to be remembered as a pitcher. But he soon realized that the impact that he was making on people's lives, and especially young people's lives, to use the things that he was given to show love to others. So as harvest time approaches, it's a good time to think about the fruit that we have. Jesus chose the men that were the closest to him during his ministry. He chose them. He appointed them. These men became his friends as they spent time with him, learned from him, and followed his commands. Our actions should show Jesus. It can be easy for us to just learn and pray and grow personally, but it can be much harder to go and show Jesus through our actions. If you grow a garden or plant a field, your goal is not just to have it look nice, A goal you have is for it to produce the crop that you planted, for the fruit to be eaten and enjoyed and to be used as it was intended. You do not spend all that time cultivating and seeding and weeding just to look at how nice the crop looks. It's nice to see its beauty, but we want to put it to use. The same as with us. We can read and pray and study and grow in knowledge, and all that's important. But if we do not go and act, then it only benefits ourselves. We need to use the fruit that we have grown to then share the love of Christ. Throughout John 15, the word abide is used 10 times when he talks about the vine and the branches earlier before this in the chapter. And looking at the Greek roots of the word, we discover some helpful definitions. To abide is to dwell, or to remain, to be present, and to be held and kept. Abiding addresses our posture and our place. Jesus needed his apostles to go after he left. Not just sit around and talk about the teachings of Jesus, but to go. Those men went out and spread the gospel using the fruit that they've grown, the fruit that they acquired with being with Jesus. We do not want our gifts to be wasted and to rot away. God has given each of us specific gifts to use. And when those gifts have fully matured, we better use them. I have 3 different scriptures to close us off this morning with. Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. It says, "Let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up." This verse directly connects our theme of harvest and the perseverance needed to bear fruit. It gives us encouragement that our efforts are not in vain, that we should not grow weary of doing good. Matthew 5:16 said, "In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and to give glory to your Father who is in heaven." This reinforces the idea that the fruit we bear, our good works, has a specific purpose, and that is to point others to God, to see our Lord. In Philippians 1, chapter 1, verse 6, says, "And I am sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ." Just like the Philippians in the first century, God is working in us. And we can be confident that his work will come to completion. So let us have a lasting harvest and use the fruit and bear the fruit that will show the love of Christ. Thank you.